Hey everybody, welcome back to Consolidating Power. I've just got back from the Berlin sector yesterday, and so just want to take you all through my run in both Premier and Eternal. This is the best I have ever done in a large event on both days, and so I'm pretty excited to share some quick thoughts on the lists, what I played into, and also talk about the beginning of the Season 2 Eternal meta overall. The Berlin event itself was in a great location, great venue. I loved it being in the hotel we were staying at, and it made it really nice to take quick breaks in between the rounds. My only real complaint about the event was that the prize wall prices seemed to be so incredibly inflated to try and make people buy the expensive add-on packages so you could get some of the cards. I was really annoyed with the fact that the foil cards were so much more expensive than the non-foil cards. They added non-foil prize wall cards to appeal to the people who don't like foils. That's fine. But why do you make the foils 250 tickets and the non-foils 100 tickets? It seemed to be punishing the people who do like foils, and when we break it down, I paid 50 euros to take part in the Eternal Open, and if I won the event, i.e. if I went 7-0, I could only get 5 total prize wall cards. Only 5 if I won the event. And so I thought this was insane. No, I thought the selection of cards was really good. Actually, there was a lot of cool cards for Twin Suns and Eternal on the wall with the Twin Suns cards, precons coming in with the new foil versions. Most of the art was fantastic. But I had to prioritize getting just 3 Yodas and 3 Grievuses. And since I only went 6-1 in the Eternal Open, I could only get 4 cards total. So I had to buy somebody else's tickets to get a 5th. And then I just straight up bought the last Yoda off of somebody. So I got my 3 foil Yodas and 3 foil Grievuses, but I couldn't get any of the stuff to pimp my Twin Suns decks. I'm gonna have to go order all those cards separately after the next sector. I was pretty annoyed by this. I'm sure some people heard me ranting about it, but I'm like, I would have splurged for the meme Smolder Codebreaker mat they had that I thought was really funny, but there was literally no earthly way to do that and also get some prize wall cards or whatever, right? So it was just pretty feels bad all around with that. But other than that, the event was great. Judges were great. Yeah, it was a good day. Now, let me just go ahead and move on because I want to keep this as quick as possible, this video. I'll move on to my day 1 performance in Premiere with Armor Yellow. Now, I topped a PQ last weekend in Darmstadt here in Germany with this deck, and I really like it. I think it's the closest thing to a real playable combo deck that we've ever had in the format. Maybe like Kylo, last year in Galactic Season, but that's more of like a later game combo deck, and I would say the Armor is more of an early game combo deck. And so I made some changes from the Darmstadt PQ to this weekend, mostly adding all of the out of the Mos Eisley modifier to the list. And in essence, it's just a high roll deck. You try to have a really banger opening and just destroy the opponent by turn 4. So let's take a little quick look at the list, which I have on the screen here. I know my sideboard's hidden. I'll just mention very briefly here in a second. But this list is so much fun. I actually was on stream on round 2, so you can go watch it. I think it's around the hour and 25-minute mark for the Fanfinity channel for YouTube. But you can see a bit of what the deck was trying to do in that game versus Krennic. It really certainly popped off in games 1 and 3. But your best opening start for this deck is, of course, Han Solo, and you play Arcana Star Map from the resource row. Absolute best way you can start the game. But something like Babu Frick in preparation is also good. A lot of people ask me why the hell is Babu Frick in the deck. It's just because he is a 1/4 unique unit for 1, meaning he can be buffed up to a 3/5 with preparation, or into a 1/7 with Arcana Star Map on turn 1, meaning the next turn you can start stack upgrades on him, and he's pretty unkillable. Just a caveat before I go any further with this deck, some people have said that they find the deck BS because, it's hard to interact with or whatever, and that is kind of what a combo deck does, right? Is that it gives you an overwhelming advantage if you don't counter it. And let me tell you, I think there's a lot of counters to this deck. Something like Hu Yang turn 1 is almost like insta GG for me. If you start running Tree Remembers, There's just a lot of ways to wreck this deck. One of the CAD games I lost into is just Sentinel after Sentinel after Sentinel, and you can only do so much with just the three Ascension cables, so possibly bringing in some Saboteur to help with that. But I really think there's a lot of ways to wreck this deck. A lot of the red-white upgrade hate, like Kit Fisto's Aether Sprite or R5D4. You run any of those in Armor, and Armor is going to lose. So it's a combo deck to keep an eye on for the future if you are playing against it, and possibly pop some stuff to hard counter it in your sideboard. Silver bullets. Okay, what other stuff in the deck? I like Scour the Archives, just find resources. It only costs one. Sorry, to find resources, to find upgrades. It only costs one. It fills a lot of good curves. You're often searching for Dark Saber in this deck, or Identity if you want a high roll. Nimble Prowess is sometimes can be a lifesaver to tap stuff down. I like two, maybe it needs to be three, but this is one thing with the deck is that the slots are so difficult to decide what angle of attack you want to take with this deck. You could do a very low to the ground grit based deck. That's a very all round sort of deck that isn't trying to high roll as much. You could do a lot with even more identity targets. Some people have run Sarlacc and I'm trying to think Maz Kanata, where you're going for a weird underworld package, but I think the Maz Kanata is too high roll right now, especially because there aren't that many good underworld cards. Maybe Jadna Wood is the only one that comes to mind. Um, but yeah, so I like this one. That's a bit more balanced, a little more combo-y for me, but not as high roll as Maz Kanata, but also not as like streamlined as a grid-based version of the deck. I really like Codebreaker because yeah, you're just searching for identity, but he's also a good body to be able to slap Darksaber on soon enough. But also you're bringing in gambits from the sideboard, and so I'll just measure my sideboard here because I don't feel like moving my image. I've got two Axe Forgets and two Watch This, which you can find off Codebreaker, of course. Two Unfettered Ambition, which can, against decks like Boba and CAD, sort of just pop off and add, +8/+8 or something to your leader, or sorry, not your leader, but whatever unit you just choose to put that on. I have two Hondo Inakas in the sideboard here. This was meant to be a mirror breaker because I was expecting a lot more people to be on this deck, and it turns out I think there's only three armors overall, and two Bendus to be able to fight any space matchups, but I didn't face any except the Boba Lake Country in round one. Other than that, Moss Isley Modifier is an amazing card. It's essentially aggressive negotiations against Cat and Boba Lake Country. I have two Lats. Sometimes she's good, but I don't love her in this deck as much as other people do, so she's just on two copies. Axe Woves is mostly meant to be hit off of Identity for usually +4, but can be a good target that they have to destroy. And if they don't do anything to it, you slap a Dark Saber on him, and it gets out of control pretty fast. But might be replaced by some other upgrade interaction stuff like Kill Switch and the Grav Charge. These are things I'm considering. Also, I'm on 3 Ponkrell, 3 Maul. If I'm going to high roll, I want to high roll into the best targets possible, which are these two cards. You can see a little bit of this on stream with the Maul. I'll show you a photo a little later of the most insane high roll I ever had on my win and in, which I ended up losing, and that was really heartbreaking for me because this is the closest I've been to day two, and it just wasn't with me. So if I had made it to day two, I would have actually gotten the showcase. I would have been the only armor on day two, so that would have been really cool. But I'm happy with my run, and with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual matchups. So I'll just go through this very quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but round one, Boba Lake Country. I think this is probably the easiest matchup for the armor because you're putting all their damage onto your units that you're continuously upgrading. They can't ever kill them, and then you just use grit and you swing for like 16. Um, Round two here was the one on stream, and you can go watch this game versus the Krennic here. Game one and game three, I high rolled pretty hard, which was great. Game two, I think neither of us did anything really until like round five, and by that point, it's too late for me. But yeah, go check out that game. It's pretty funny. And my opponent there, Lars, he was really really kind guy. So it was a fun matchup to be on stream. After that, we've got a Lando Blue. Looks like I took this 2-1. I don't remember too many specifics of it, but I think it was the games I started with Han and Upgrade, or definitely were wins, and then the game that he started with Hu Yang, not a win. I mean, Hu Yang again is one of the easiest counters in those colors for this deck. Round four, I faced Mikolaj Wendowski, better known as Sip, who's one of the top five players in the world. And I actually beat his CAD blue. And so this is a really achievement that I'm gonna sort of take to the grave with me, that I happen to beat Sip with the armor. And in fact, I was Sip's only loss on day one. Let's see if we can check that out. Yeah, here we go. So I'm his only loss on day one, and that was a lot of fun. Really insanely good player, as you might imagine. In game two, he did a really interesting sequence of pings to be able to line up an IG 2000 and wipe all three of my units, and that was like that was really crazy. So that was the game that he ended up winning there. But yeah, really, it was a pleasure to play against him. And I know he was telling some other people in the audience, or excuse me, not the audience, in the tournament about the armor decks. I was like, let's go. So after SIP going 4-0 here, I ended up pairing in a two Cad Bane blues. The first one just played a ton of Sentinels, and that was really difficult to deal with. I wasn't finding my ascension cables, and that was that. And then the game after this, as far as I remember, the opponent just had the right removal at the right time, and he got there. Following that was a Admiral P at red, and this was another pretty easy matchup here, sort of like the Boba Lake country, where you just stack big upgrades, not much they can do about it. And then the final match was the winning in, and game one was the most insane high roll I've ever done in my life. The opponent scooped on turn three. I'm going to put an image on the screen. I'll do it in post production, but of what the board state was at the end of resource turn four, turn three, right, where I had a upgraded Han with star map and identity, who had already swung twice. I had a code breaker with identity. I had a Lobot and a Babu Frick, and both my code breaker and Han had hit Maul, and I stole his Enoch and his Koska Reeves, and he just scooped there. I mean, it's just insane. And I like these kind of windmill crazy combos. A lot of fun there. Game two, I had another insane start, and unfortunately, I don't remember the exact situation, but I probably should have played around it a little better. Where I ended up upgrading something that got no gloried right before I could slap the dark saber on it, or something along these lines. And yeah, I just wasn't able to get there. I think I got him to 28 and just couldn't get through, and that was really heartbreaking there. And then the game three, no chance whatsoever. It was early deploy and then craving power into a second craving power, and that was that. So all my dreams were dashed for day two there, but I'm pretty proud of the run. I was able to win on stream, was able to beat Sip, and I had this crazy high roll. So that was a lot of fun. So that was the armor, and I'll probably try to keep playing this, upgrading this, especially when we get into home worlds. We'll see what there is in store for it. Following that was the day two, where I played in the Eternal Open, and I ended up going 6-1. I decided to run it back with my Yoda DV that I won the Southampton PQ with a while ago. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Of course, Eternal is super crazy, but I'll just point out a couple changes I've made since the Southampton PQs. First off, I'm running this Pathfinder Sergeant, which is sort of essentially a fourth copy of Rush Clovis. I really like Rush in this deck. You're able to interact quite a bit. I've got one timely intervention, which has come in clutch a few times. Maybe that comes up to two. Some R2D2s, which is essentially to search top five, draw your mom. Really nice card here. I'm kind of back on the Spark of Hopes. This has come in and out, but I do just like turbo ramping in this deck, and it was relevant a little bit over the day. What is next? Oh, three Koska Reeves. This is just replace Typho for me. She's really good. Gives you a lot of value. I played against Alec Drinkwater from the Botha Network, and he was still on Village Protectors with his Yoda DV list, and I originally cut them, and now I think I kind of want to be back on them. Just the shield and also the three cost cheapness factor that you can get off of Home One or Kellerin. Really strong. We're going to try and fit Village Protectors back in here somewhere. Somebody talked me out of running Vanquish a while ago and had me on Fell the Dragon, and let me tell you, I went on the Fell the Dragon, and I still much prefer Vanquish. There was a lot of relevant situations where Vanquish was much better to kill a small unit, like Ability Protectors, for example. Anything else? A clone main board here, and I'll talk about the Alec Drinkwater game in a little bit, but this was very funny. And then two Rays, which I just think need to be main board at minimum. I'd love to be on three Rays, but I think two is enough. And I think that is it for the main list. If you can't see my sideboard here, it's three Igor Escort Fighters, relevant sometimes against space, but I think this whole sideboard needs work. Two Choose Sides. This card was incredibly relevant. I want to go up to three Choose Sides, but this was against any. I played three Piet Reds, and this is how you win against Piet Reds. So I'm going to be up on three Choose Sides. And then I have three Crate Dragons and two Endless Legions. This was meant for hard control. But actually, I didn't end up needing it versus the one hard control game I played. I just brought out Ray. They throw everything they can at Ray. Okay, anyways, home one, bring out Ray again. So I don't think I need those. So I'm gonna do a lot of work on the sideboard here, but overall I had a fun time with the list. Let me tell you, whatever next PQ or event I play in that is Eternal, I'm going to be running my boy Chancellor Palpatine. I don't care how it is into the meta, we're playing him. So I think I'll be at the Norwich PQ and probably playing Chancellor Palpatine there. Let's take a look at the run. I'll try to be quick with this. I know I never am, but here's the top eight. I'll actually get more into the top eight when I cover the meta, but I will look at my run coming in fifth here, which I'm very proud of. And yeah, first round was versus a Piet Red Splash base. I did end up taking it down, but let me tell you, this new card Eviscerator is insane. I think it was turn three, might have been turn four, but I think it was turn three. He was able to sneak attack out the Eviscerator, buff his other stuff on the board, swing with the Eviscerator, buff it all again, and he had done like 28 damage to my base on turn three. And I'm like, well, we're not winning that one. So yeah, pretty spicy for Piet Red here. Round two, I faced my boy Cornholy here. The Holocron rating index has us as mortal enemies because we've played at like 4 different events, and he's beat me every time. So it doesn't matter how big the event is, we match into each other, and it was nice to finally take him down. So a huge shout out to Cornholy here. But he was playing Anakin Data Vault, sort of the new hotness in Eternal, and I was able to win this game. He did have a pretty terrible game one in terms of just not hitting any of his small units. No Neil, no ramp. He played a Casca and didn't get a token. There was a lot of that going on. So pretty rough for him. I wish I actually played more Anakins because I was trying to get data on how I felt about Yoda into Anakin. Beton, for example, says that Anakin is like the better version of Yoda. I don't know. I, again, need to see some more games. This is maybe something I could do a video on in the future if people are interested, but again, it's so hard to make videos. I'm sorry, everybody. But talking about, like, looking at some metrics and win percentages of Yoda versus Anakin to see what comes out on top as the best blue-green hero deck. Next is actually a rematch of the Piet Red that I faced in the Premier Day one, and he's playing a Eternal version of it here in the Eternal Open. And he got his revenge and 2-0'd me here. Next was another Piet Red, and this is one that I took down pretty easily as far as I remember. Ramp is good. Turn after this, I played against a Gar ECL. Yeah, it's just a good matchup for Yoda, just to clean up all their units, and eventually they can't do anything. Even with the, ECL Vader or Timely Vader, I'll just, anyways, play another Luke. I think I played all 3 Lukes in the second game, which is just really, really tough for him. I played against Alec Drinkwater, excellent player from the Bothan Network here. We only played one game, but it was hysterical board state at the end. Essentially, I was able to get a little more ramp than he was and get some damage in on base. He didn't have any damage on my base, and I think he was sitting around 15 to 20 by the time we really started to make insane board states. And I got him to within 1 hit to death for several turns in a row. And this is when we're in the 12 to 16 resource kind of part of the game. And essentially, he plays a Ray. I play my own Ray. I clone my Ray. I play a Bo-Katan. And we wipe some of his more piddly things. And I start buffing the Bo-Katan and both Rays. And he started to churn through Sentinels with his home ones. And eventually, through the slog, we had enough removal to get all the Sentinels out of the way. And that was that. But yeah, I mean, he played incredibly well, and we talked a bit about like sort of the evolution of the list, and essentially I said I wanted to be back on Vanquishes and the what was it? The Village Protectors. So yeah, go ahead and check out his list if you're interested. But yeah, that was a great match. And then finally, I played against a hard control player on with Grand Admiral Thrawn here. I guess it wasn't the hardest control ever. He was playing, a lot of Imperial Armored Commando, this type of stuff. But I mean, I was expecting this game to go really long and for me to lose at the end of it, but turns out just playing Ray is really, really hard for them to deal with. And you just keep recycling the Ray, and that's that. So that was I learned a lot from that game, and I was able to come fifth at the end of the day. So a lot of fun there. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the Eternal meta is looking like right now. So we had a couple Eternal PQs in addition to the Open just the past 2 weeks. If we look at this one from Italy, it looks like it was taken down by Anakin Datavault, as to be expected here. Because again, I mean, I think Anakin and Yoda are more or less the same deck. I prefer Yoda at this specific juncture because Yoda has card draw, restore, and removal all built into a really tough body, and you're filtering the whole game. But Anakin can pop off in a ridiculous way where you're shielding everything, as I'm sure you know. There's plenty of, sort of deck techs around this right now, at least from the swoop racers. We got an Iden hard control, Django Tarkentown, of course. I'm actually kind of curious about Kira, how she's been doing. So let's take a look. Just to say, I haven't looked at any of these lists ahead of time, so we're just going to get some first reactions here. But this is actually pretty nice. I was expecting hard control, but this is pretty cool, actually. Some classics here. We've got Pike Sentinels. We've got Devastating Gunships. This looks like this list could have been drawn out of like set two, with the exception of the Vaders and Cad Banes and Imperial Armored Commando here. But yeah, pretty solid. And he's still got a little Vigilance game plan to back it up. My boy Phil, who from Mines, who came out with us to the Berlin event, of course, he's wanted to build an Eternal deck, and I'm gonna go ahead and send this list to him. So shout out to Phil. Another shout out to, of course, Kabir from my boys in London, the Bender boys. And he played in the Eternal Open with us, and he played his Dryden Blue Force deck, upgraded. So shout out to Kabir, and check out his list as well if that sounds fun to you. But anyways, back to what we were talking about. So Django, this looks like a Rex Unity of Purpose deck. Cool that it's made top 8 here. Anything spicy? And oh, it's got Neil. Let's go. And Kino Loy. I suspected that this would be something that would make this list eventually. I like the Palpatine. Got U-Wings to sort of, what is this? Turning the Tide. Choose a unit, deal 1 damage to each friendly unit. I think that could actually be replaced with something like Encircle from the Twin Suns deck if you want a bit of removal. But yeah, this is super cool. And yeah, the rest of this is pretty meta defining. We already know what the meta for Eternal is at this rate, which is going to be hard control, blue-green heroes, and Django's, and Gari CL. At least that gives us a good spread of options. Okay, so that was Italy. Alzey, this is actually my local here in Germany. I couldn't make this because, of course, I'm in Berlin, but it's actually taken down by Eric from Top Cut Target, who I've talked to in the past here. And he actually drove from Alzey on Saturday to Berlin to be in the Sunday Eternal Open, which we'll look at in just a second because he came in second. So here he is playing his Yoda Data Vault. He's got Crate Dragons in the main, as well as Endless Legions in the main. That's, I think, to sort of um, protect yourself from hard control, to confirm that you win that game one. I think that's a fine enough option here. He's also on the 3 Sergeants, and I mean, I'm a big fan of Sergeants, so I like this. Original Yoda here is pretty interesting to be able to restore and draw a card when it dies. I guess you're sort of worried about no glory, but then if they decide to blow their no glory on a Yoda, you're pretty happy with that. So whatever in that case. And of course, he's on 2 clones here to clone his Crate Dragons when he Endless Legions, so that they can't board wipe because they just die instantly. So nice win here from Eric. We've got a Anakin, Data Vault, Django, and actually a good friend of mine, Sebastian here in Mines, Agro Mines, who is on a pretty classic Vader list. I think this is what he played in Tilburg, is what he told me. So yeah, I don't even think there's any post-rotation cards with the exception of Hold for Questioning in the sideboard. So pretty clean list, and well done to making top 4 there, Sebastian. All right. We've got one back in the States, one by Gar ECL, and that's actually pretty cool for me. Because Gar, I think, is sort of the beginner's deck. Not beginner in terms of that's not talking down to anyone who plays it, but I think that if you're new to Eternal, this is the deck to pick up because you don't need any Twin Suns cards, and it's pretty as a straightforward game plan. You can still do some powerful things. So really cool to see Gar ECL take this down. We've got a Dark Saber. I really like this because you're not only buffing your thing in sort of with an extra power from Gar ECL. You can return it to hand when he dies. But yeah, I mean it just seems solid overall. I like this to hedge into a little bit of hard control as well because they can't really easily kill the Dark Saber unit. I might even want to be on additional Dark Sabers there. Some rays on the side. Yeah, this is cooking. So well done to this player. I'm curious what he played into. He played into a Oh, the Jabba Blue bouncing, hand destruction and hard control. Anakin, we have no idea what this person's playing. An Anakin, we don't know what this person's playing. A Piet Splash, a Jabba hand destruction bounce. And man, I don't know why so many of these are blank, but very well done to this player who won everything or drew. So well done there. Um, yeah, here's the Jabba Hard Control. We've got Piet Splash, Anakin's a Krennic, which is probably another hard control option. And then let's look at the sector. So there is some cool stuff here. So here's a shout out to Eric, who I mentioned earlier, making number 2 there. And here's me on number 5. Woo, consolidating power, subscribe. But let's look at Han Yellow taking this down. We've mentioned Han Yellow as being, I think, one of the not a sleeper deck, but maybe a sleeper pillar of the format, right? And there is a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Is he on Codebreaker? No. I would love Codebreaker to be in every Han Yellow list, mostly because of Faith in Your Friends, and you can also do some other sort of interesting bounce stuff. But cards like Rose Tico, I think, are a little bit foundational to this deck because Rose Tico is essentially Ground Falcon. Enfys Nest. I always hated this card, rather playing against this card. I don't like to see it here in Eternal, playing against it rather. Remnant Lookouts, I mean, just hand destruction. You can even play this on turn 1. It's really, really annoying. Yeah, Sanctioner Shuttle, another of my most hated cards that I wanted banned in Premiere when it was legal. Yeah, I mean, this is just solid. I would like to see Codebreaker here, but well done to our winner. Then what else do we got? We've got a Vader Yellow in top 3 here. Let's see what he's on. So some Snub Fighter Squadrons, and so Craving Powers in the main. I mean, it's pretty classic here, but still unbeatable. Any non-rotation cards? Oh, Bazine, Sanctioner Shuttle. It looks like Surprise Strike. Yeah, cool. Well done to that player. Then we've got another Anakin Data Vaults. More Anakin Data Vaults. I don't want to really break down these lists. Okay, I guess we can look at one. But they're gonna have Neils in them. Where's the Neil? There he is. We got Neils. I mean, the game plan here is you drop Neil, you drop another 1-drop, preferably Alliance Dispatcher. You can maybe play Maskanata early and start to buff that up really, really quickly. And Hotshot is interesting in the main here. A singular Rider Azadi. I'm not a fan of these type of cards only because I'm really bad at calling them unless you're playing in some sort of combo deck. So you can name Unity of Purpose or you could name Endless Legions. A singular Bo-Katan, a couple home ones. We've got the top end, but I'm wondering if a cool development for this deck is actually going to be ECL, and we just start to play lower to the ground and do some trading. Then you could play Mandalorian and start soaking up a lot of damage there, especially because nothing will die when Mandalorian's out there, because then you just start shielding everything. So I think there is some development to be done on Anakin, especially in the aggro direction. We've got a Palp Yellow here. Let's see how different it is from the list I ran in Vegas. Oh, yeah, they're on the Fennec Shans, baby. It was such a cool development from that opponent I played in where you're hitting Fennec off of Vader. Moff Gideon, I don't mind, but you would play him as a Sentinel, right? You're not returning that much stuff to your hand, just ISB agents as far as I'm aware. Yeah, see, because Reinforcement Walker's not Imperial, I've always hated that. A Singular Stockpile, I think, is fine, but I would almost, if you're going to go down this kind of Imperial tribal deck with Moff Gideon, maybe that should just be a Long Live the Empire and you run a few more Imperial cards, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Um, Finally, we're going to end off with what I think is the coolest Eternal deck I have seen in a while, which is going to be this Han Pilot red splash base. Because look how awesome this is. I want to build this so badly. I've just realized that I'm blocking part of these, but you can go look up the deck list yourself. But I'm going to move it just for this one because this is amazing. This is the closest thing to a space aggro deck that I would ever play. It's not my style. I don't usually play space aggro, but check this out. They're splashing for 3 Akbar, 2 Chewbaccas. Akbar is like goated in this, right? You just refill the board. You're going to untap all the resources on the flip. You could even like double Akbar or something. Like you Akbar, play out all the spaceships, deploy Han, untap everything, deploy another Akbar. I guess maybe that doesn't work with the splash base in terms of resourcing, but there's something there that I think is really, really cool. I might just throw this together for fun because of how interesting it looks. And it doesn't need any Twin Suns cards as far as I'm aware, but I will have to pick up my own copies of Akbar to be able to play this. So super cool from Jan here. Certainly the most interesting space aggro deck I have seen in a while. Okay, I think with that, that is going to wrap it up, but I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you've made it this far, I'm going to be getting some spoilers very soon from Fantasy Flight, and I'm looking forward to previewing those on the channel here soon. So stay tuned. Thanks so much to everybody who came up and said they loved the channel in Berlin, because I had quite a few people do that actually. And I hope you play some more Eternal. I hope you're inspired to play some more Eternal. Don't be scared of the format. Just play whatever you want. It's going to be powerful. It's going to feel powerful, even if you get destroyed by blue-green heroism or Django. Like, just try it out. Try to convince your store to have some game days for Eternal. Maybe like less meta Eternal decks, and I think you'll have a good time. Let's use your old collection. So, with that being said, have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks.